Anyway, Henry Holt has just published Marilyn, its handsome new volume about another American star, Marilyn Monroe, with photographs by George Barris and text by Gloria'S Diamond, a text that shocks us with the realization that had she lived, Marilyn Monroe would now be in her 60s, and a text that quite honestly puzzles me enough to begin the open mind today by asking, why Steinem on Monroe? Fair question, I think.
Mm-hmm. That was a wonderful introduction, right up until the part about pressing me about...
Well, I'm going to try.
Okay. It's a hard question to answer for me because it seems so evident that it becomes difficult to explain. I think she was an exaggerated version of what women are very often encouraged in general to be, all the more so in the 40s and 50s when she was alive, but even still. That is, that she was encouraged to be childlike, to be ornamental. She was valued for her looks rather than for what was in her head or her heart. She played a role of the role, that is the classic dumb blonde role. And in addition to that, she was encouraged to conceal the real Norma Jean, who was inside her in somewhat the way men too, but I think women even more so, are encouraged to hide behind the stereotype. Yet that internal woman had experienced a lot of the things that we now know have happened to large numbers of women, being sexually assaulted as a little girl. I mean, when she was alive, she may have felt quite alone in this experience, but since her death, many more women have come forward and talked about this, and we know more now about its consequences. Fearing aging much more than men do, wanting desperately to be taken seriously and not being able to. So her existence in the culture is this massive mythical figure who exaggerates what women are supposed to be and thus conceals her real self, is a kind of larger projection of the individual woman for a lot of us. So I got hooked on trying to find out who she was inside that mythic projection.
Well, you know, when I saw the review of the book, knew you had done it, asked you to appear on the program, I went back to the earlier book of essays and read the piece you had written then, years ago, on Marilyn Monroe. And I guess the question that I want to put to you is whether, was there really that much more that would have surfaced and would have developed if we were then as far along as we are in the feminist revolution?
Well, it's hard to know what would have surfaced, but I think there's a good chance that she might be alive. And that's very important. I mean, if a movement can save lives, you know, what more important is there to do?
She died then because of...
Well, she felt very alone, very isolated. She was a child woman who was trying to grow up but was rewarded for being a child. She was trying to play serious roles but wasn't allowed to be. She was trying to get her identity through a man, as we were then taught to do, to marry whoever it is we wanted to become, an American hero, in her case, Joe DiMaggio, a serious person, Arthur Miller, and so on. I mean, she was trying to come to terms with that person inside herself, as we all are, I think. And had the movement been around to let her know, movement just means people moving, I mean, I don't mean in any formal sense, but women telling the truth, perhaps she might not have felt so alone.
Not a movement, but people moving.
Yes, yeah, I think that's what a movement is. A movement is not just, not even primarily national organizations or words that end in T-I-O-N. So it's ways that you and I behave differently every day.
And how do we behave differently? Now, how would it have affected her? You said she would talk. She could have given expression.
Well, she did talk, but I mean, she would have known when she spoke that she was not entirely alone in those experiences. She would have known, for instance, that about one in 6 little girls is sexually assaulted by somebody in their households, and would have had other people to confirm what the consequences are, that you feel as if you have no value but a sexual value. and that it's somehow your fault, or it's pretty long-term consequences. She might also have had other actresses who were saying, as she was saying, I want to be taken seriously. I don't want to play dumb blonde roles. I want to be a whole person on screen. And she might have had a few more roles which were serious roles. She might have had her own identity instead of having to marry it. I mean, we can't know. We can only speculate, but there seems very good reason to believe that if she had been born later, or the movement had been born earlier, she might be with us today.
Very good reason to believe in terms of the researches you did for the book?
Yes, just in terms of what her life experiences really were, yes.
A person of real talent, then?
I think so. I think she's now recognized as a wonderful comedian and also quite a serious actress in some of her earlier movies, especially. Though she never was given the scope, or to really do a wide variety of work. Nonetheless, she's spoken of by Strasberg and others as one of his most talented pupils. He places her there with Marlon Brando.
What a mind-blowing thing, though, to realize as she wrote that she would have been in her 60s, albeit early 60s now. I kept asking myself, what does it say about me and my generation? And I wanted to ask you a question that I hadn't asked you other times that you'd been here. You're saying now that she would be alive, perhaps, had the feminist movement, the moving of people, taken place earlier. I wanted to ask you what the downside would have been in regards to the life of Marilyn Monroe, whether there would have been any in terms of what has happened with this movement.
Well, I don't think so, because it isn't as if she enjoyed or loved being thought a dumb blonde, in which case the movement might have had a downside for her. She wanted very badly to be taken seriously, and the end of her last interview was just that. She pled with her interviewer to say what I really believe, she said. I believe, the world peace and, serious subjects, and please don't make me a joke. And of course, the interviewer didn't use that at all.
I was very much taken by that. Please don't make me a joke. Obviously, you felt that was a motif in her life.
Yes, I think that she feared very much being humiliated, being laughed at, and yet she was in this bind in which to become successful and to become visible, she had to take those roles.